it's never wrong to do the right thing, no matter how you spin it. Anything else is just your homeowner brand. If I see one of their estimates on a homeowner's table while I'm doing our presentation, all right, you're going to get taken care of no matter who you choose. Yeah. So we did 2.5 our first year. We did 4.5 our second year. We did right at 6 last year. And hopefully our goal this year was 7.5 to 8.
Hey there, and welcome to From the Ground Up Show, the show where we encourage and inspire the next generation of free-thinking leaders by telling the stories of those that have been there, done that, and are still getting it done, building a life that they love with their hearts, their hands, and their hustle. I am your host, Erick Loden. If you guys get anything out of the content, please help me out. Like, share, follow, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, on YouTube, and on social media. If you guys really want to help me out, pause the show right now, send it to a friend, share it with somebody you know that might benefit, and go ahead and click there in Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you're listening on. Leave us a 5-star review, leave us a comment. Those 5-star reviews really help us move up in the algorithms, and we're not part of a big network. We don't have a lot of backing. So you guys doing that really helps us out and helps us spread the content so we can help more business owners be the best that they can be for their employees, their customers, and their families. Today, I'm pretty excited. I have Kyle Weber joining us. He is from South Carolina, where he runs Hometown Roofing as the COO. Kyle has helped grow Hometown Roofing considerably, a 5th-generation roofing company. They perform residential and commercial roofing with shingles, metal, and single-ply membrane. So, Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, we like to start every show just getting to know you a little bit and learning about what kind of a background produces someone like you. So, do you mind going clear back to the beginning and telling us a little bit about your childhood and what it was like growing up?
So I grew up like most normal kids. I had 3 sisters. My mom and dad were very involved in my childhood, and from a young age, my dad made it a huge importance of earning whatever you have, and if you want something, you're going to work for it. And started my first lawn mowing job when I was 12. Worked for a farmer for 3 or 4 summers, picking watermelons in North Carolina, where I'm from. Then all through high school, worked for a starter and alternator shop. I'm big into the outdoors, so that's an expensive hobby. And my dad was always, hey, if you want this nicest, newest gun, you're going to go work for it, So at the time, some of my friends they got all this nice stuff for Christmas. And obviously my parents, we got Christmas gifts and stuff too. But it was frustrating at the time because I didn't get the same stuff that my friends got. But it taught me a lot that my friends didn't get taught, of a work ethic and working with your hands and learning a trade, and kind of gave me the foundation for where I am today. So that was really my childhood, was outdoors. And my dad was a brick mason on the side. He's a full-time pastor, but he did some brick mason stuff on the side. So I was this mortar kid, mixing the mortar for him so he could keep working. And that's kind of where I got my feet wet in construction. So
what did education look like? Did you pursue any college education after high school?
I went to a year of a private school out in California. My dad, like I said, was a pastor. And so I went to a year Bible college out there to potentially look at going into ministry as well. Wasn't for me. So after that year, I left that college and went right into trades.
Looking back on it, how do you feel about that decision? Was that the right move for you? Do you ever regret not finishing a degree?
100%. I actually just shot an episode of my podcast on Friday with another guy who's my age, and that's all we talked about was the opportunity for kids these days that it doesn't have to be college. You can learn a trade and make a different, and it's not for everybody, And for some people it is. And if that's you, great, happy for you. But it's not for everybody. So yeah, definitely the right.
That's perfect. Yeah, I agree 100%. It frustrates me that I think, I'm guessing you and I are probably pretty close in age. And at least in my region growing up, man, it was in high school, you just got funneled into college. It
Yep.
was like that was, if you didn't go to college, there's no way you're going to be successful. It was kind of a failure not to. That was the only option. And it's pretty frustrating because there is incredible opportunity uh, in the trades and in different vocations for those that they might be very smart, they might be very capable, but school's just not their thing. They don't do indoors, they don't do sitting still and sitting at a desk. They're capable in other ways, a lot more tangible ways sometimes.
100%.
So, yeah, I think there's incredible opportunity there for people that college just isn't for them, and those that are, we need those people as well.
Yep. That's what we were talking. I was like, I want my doctor to go to college. The guy who's doing surgery on me, he better have a degree, but there's so many other options for that. So, yeah.
Are you in the construction industry and super excited about the services you get from your material supplier? Did your material supplier pay to take you on an all-inclusive vacation this year? Do you always have what you need when and where you need it? If you answer no to any of those questions, make sure you check out MacArthur. MacArthurCo.com. Give them a call and find the branch nearest you. Top materials, the best prices, and only the best service. And ask them about their customer incentive trips. Man, great. Well, you mentioned quite a few jobs that you had growing up. Can you tell us about, right after high school, early workforce? Did you go straight to work for Hometown Roofing, or did you have a few other jobs?
No. So I mentioned earlier, I grew up in North Carolina, and right after I left college, I went and worked for a GC up in North Carolina, and we did everything: windows, doors, framing, siding, flooring, and everything. We had a contract. How I got into roofing was we had a contract with our county school system for all 42 of their buildings. So we did maintenance on their commercial properties once a quarter. And then, once a year, we'd have some major project for one of those 42 roofs, that re-roofing something. And so that's where I really got into the trade side of construction, learning a lot of different things. And roofing was kind of my niche that I enjoyed. We did a ton of windows and doors too for the biggest builder in my area back in Greenville, North Carolina. And so I hated that, and I knew I did not want to keep doing that. And then I got a call from a buddy of mine who was running a different roofing company down here in South Carolina. And he is like, hey, we're starting a repair division, and you actually know how to do the work. So I need somebody to run this division of the company. So I was with them for 3 years until middle of 2022. And then that's when Hometown started. So. Yep.
All right. And I know it sounds like Hometown kind of reformed with you as a key piece of it in 2022, but you guys have quite a history. It's a fifth generation company.
Yep.
Could you give us a quick summary or background of kind of how that company started and how you guys got to where you are today?
Yeah. So my business partner, Tim, his great granddad actually had a roofing company in Indiana, where they're from. And so his granddad ran it, and then it went to his grandma, and then his dad, and then it kind of dissolved. It wasn't named Hometown. And then we, in 2022, when stuff kind of hit the fan with the other company, they reached out to me. We had other connections through his other business. He owns a executive transportation company. So I was doing stuff on the side for them for like logistics they do big events like Super Bowl and all kinds of crazy events. I've been to like 8 Super Bowls with them, and it's
wow.
So we've been friends for a while, and obviously he knew I was in the industry, and we talked frequently of what was going on at the other company, and he's like, "Well, I don't know roofing, but I know business. So roofing. You want to give it a shot?" And here we are, almost 4 years later. So. Yep.
That's a great story, and it seems like you guys are doing quite well. Can you tell me a little bit about that startup process? I mean, what was it like when you decided to go all in and do your own thing rather than getting a job at another roofing company like you had been?
It was very stressful. It was a lot of long conversations with my wife, assuring her that everything was going to be okay. I've always been a hustler, and I'll go work at McDonald's if I have to pay the bills. I don't care. I'm going to make ends meet one way or the other. And I've always had that back to my childhood of the way I was raised of just a go get it. When I set my mind to something, it's going to happen. So it was tough. The first 4 to 6 months when you're really laying the groundwork and building relationships and trying to get jobs off the ground, we're really not making money. It's tough. So I would say the most stressful part was, the conversations at home, when you get home after a day and no steady pay, there's no paychecks, there's no anything really coming in. It's just, you just got to trust me. It's going to happen. We'll get there eventually. I don't know when eventually is. I have X, Y, and Z in the works. We're working on it, but that was probably the most stressful part, was trying to, I don't want to say convince my wife. My wife believes in me as my biggest supporter, but assure her that we'll be okay. We just got to give it some time. So,
yeah. Well, now 4 years in, has that assurance landed? Does
100%.
your wife feel good about where you're at? Is she excited about the direction you're headed?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So I told her my number one goal of hometown was, when we have kids one day, to be able to retire her and you don't have to work. She still does work, doesn't need to really right now anymore, but still does, because she doesn't want to sit around the house. But that was a huge goal of mine, to be 100% able to, you do not have to work. So
that's great. I think that's an admirable thing, to put your wife in a situation where she can work if she wants to, but doesn't have to, and can raise kids.
Yep.
I hope that for my kids in the future, that they're in that position so that they can choose what fits best for them, their family, instead of being stuck in a position where they have to.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I know you mentioned you worked for a general contractor and did a lot of different things. You said windows and doors was definitely not your thing.
Yeah.
What was it that really drew you to roofing? What is it about roofing that gets you excited?
It was really like when residential roofing, it's shingles, it's a new house, new color, same thing every day. I really like commercial roofing and the challenges that come with it. And even like in our market here in Charleston, it's very unique in the ton of different, like the architecture that we have and the styles of roofing that we have: slate, copper, standing seam, shingles, barrel tile, like that. We have every cedar shake, we have everything here. And so the learning the different types was really what I enjoyed in the beginning. And still, I'm still learning. There's still stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into that, of mess ups that, don't do that again, of just the somewhat of the unknown and the appeal of not knowing, hey, I've never done this before. Let's learn it and let's try it,
Yeah. I can relate to that. That was probably the thing that I enjoyed most about running a roofing company. We did exclusively single ply membranes, but even within single ply membranes, new hires or people that were interested in what we do would ask me, what does that entail? And like, well, which project?
Exactly.
Every one of them's a little bit different.
Which taper are we talking about? And which, there's so many variables. I love it.
What kind of a deck are we on, and how much insulation, what kind of insulation, where's this drainage come from? Is it structurally sloped? Are we doing a taper system? and cover boards and vapor barriers and
Yeah.
unique details and different building designs. And man, there's hardly any two jobs that are exactly the same. You're designing something new every job you look at.
Yep.
So
Same.
awesome.
I love it.
Well, you told us a little bit about you and Tim kind of throwing together, starting the business, having to provide that assurance to your wife that you could do this and you're going to make it. Tell us a little bit more about getting the business off the ground. What did that process look like? What were some of the struggles or maybe the big turning points where you felt like you kind of leveled up and passed a milestone as you were building it?
I'd say the biggest struggle was getting the initial brand out there because of how saturated most markets are with roofing companies. Getting the brand awareness and getting known for doing good work, and not just by your friends and family who are obviously going to refer you to people, actually having a footprint in the community. And what really helped jumpstart a lot of where we're at now is just very intentional networking in the beginning with real estate agents, property managers, insurance agents. I mean, a ton of, you name it, we were there. And then we set up a booth at the farmers market here in Somerville. We go to, it's called Third Thursday, where the third Thursday of every month in our little downtown square, they have it's almost like a vendor show, essentially, where they have food trucks and stuff. So setting up there and just being repetitively seen in the community and doing some charity roofs and stuff like that for a little league team, that needed a new dugout roof, or just little stuff like that gets you seen and the visibility, and then making the connections in the different trade partners that need you, and that's a huge struggle for really anybody in real estate or property managers, insurance, anything like that, where people that answer the phone show up when they say they're going to show up. And then it's really not that hard to gain their trust when you hear the last three guys no-showed 3 times, that's all I have to do is show up. This is easy, man.
The bar is pretty low.
Yeah, very low, very low. So that's really what jump started it in the beginning, was just the intentional networking. And our first year in business, I can 100% say with certainty that's what we did. Almost $2.5 million our first year in business.
Wow,
and
that's impressive.
That was just strictly networking, referrals, and relationships. So,
oh man, yeah, that's really impressive. You guys hit the ground running and made it happen. So, yep. I know I was having a conversation just this week that, like I said, when I was running my business, we did a very particular niche of roofing. And even within single plies, we kind of specialized in a couple products. And so a lot of people that would call us, the answer was, I'm sorry, but we don't do that.
Yeah.
But I tried really hard to return every message, even if in the message they gave me enough information to know that we weren't going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
I would try to return the call just to return the call, be polite, let them know, maybe give them a referral somewhere else. And I got a number of referrals from people that we did not do work for, but we returned their call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would tell their friends, oh, call this guy. He'll actually call you back. That was the standard.
Yeah.
So. And
then same, there's some stuff where either for instance, windows, a good buddy of mine owns another roofing company in town, and I don't do windows, but his company does. So when somebody wants windows, I refer them to him, but he doesn't do commercial roofing. So even inside, we're technically competitors in the residential side. We're very good friends, but we pass referrals back and forth just from having the trust with each other, and our customers know that we're going to answer the phone. And if one of us, can't do it, I got somebody who can, that I trust.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you can have relationships like that. And we've been discussing that a little bit recently. That seems like a bit of a new development in the roofing space that, 10, 15 years ago, this was a pretty cutthroat space. Yeah. And it seems like over the last decade, it's really opened up, and there are a lot of people willing to help each other out, share information, share knowledge. And as a whole, the industry is really leveling up
Yeah.
and providing better service because competitors are working together to
Yep.
become better at their craft. Is that what you see in your area?
100%. Yeah. And there's probably 3 or 4 guys here that in my market that I know if I see one of their estimates on a homeowner's table while I'm doing our presentation, all right, you're going to get taken care of no matter who you choose, and like the other OC Platinum in our market, great guys. I know that if they're going to get taken care of, if I lose a job to them, we're friends. Yeah. Would I love the business? But at the end of the day, the homeowner is going to get protected the way that they need to be, and like the first podcast I shot on ours was with a competitor and just talking about collaboration over competition and how we can bring our industry up as a whole, because there is still, with the way the industry's shifting, and I feel like it is getting a lot better.
Yeah. And for our listeners, what is your podcast if they want to check that out? We'll make sure we get it in the show notes as well.
The Hometown Roofing Podcast. Hometown Roofing.
Okay.
Yep. On YouTube.
Awesome. Well, I'll get that in the show notes so they can just click the link there and get some more information. Check that out. I know we talked about it a little bit. You guys do commercial and residential. You work in a lot of different products. Which is your favorite? What do you prefer as an installer and a business owner?
Probably standing seam metal is my favorite.
Okay.
And that's 24 gauge steel, copper, aluminum, anything like that. I like the challenge of, especially in our market, we're coastal. So the different products that you have to have depending on how close you are to the coast, so the panels don't rust, and the different coatings, and learning about what finishes are better for different environments, and these are going to mildew quicker, and you're going to have to clean these more, like all that different stuff. We just did a big copper and cedar roof in Isle of Palms, which is on the beach down here, and that was a first for us, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever, like, it's getting framed in the office. It was a phenomenal project. Loved it. It was the coolest roof that I probably will ever do. It was awesome.
That's great. That is a lot of fun. Like I said, we kind of did strictly single plies, but every once in a while we took on a unique project. And actually, we had a copper and cedar roof that was put on a quarter barrel, and the barrel roof had 2 45-degree angles in it. It was like a breezeway that changed directions. And that was probably one of the most complex, most interesting roofs that I ever did. It turned out beautiful. And
you did that with single ply?
No, we did it copper standing seam. And
so you got radiused panels.
Yeah, radius panels. And then having to find a way to make that angle on that quarter barrel. Because one side of the barrel, or the angle in the barrel, one side is a ridge, the other side is a valley, and it goes completely flat on top. It was unique. It was interesting.
Yeah, I'm picturing that in my head right now. That's yeah, that's interesting there.
Yeah, it was quite a project. I would never do another one of those, but it was really fun to do once. And the same thing, although we only have one, and in our world, that was a relatively small project. Photos of that made our website. They're hanging in the office. It was a fun project. Sure. It was cool.
Everybody's going to know we did this one. Yeah.
There was a lot of problems to solve. It was fun for me to figure out. I actually, when we were tackling that of, how do you make it watertight with radius panels transitioning over an angle from a ridge to a valley? We were using a Firestone product, and I wound up on the phone with Firestone support, and they had never seen or heard of that before. So they called some guy that had recently retired that had been their metal guy for like 60 years. He wrote the book literally.
Yeah.
And they got me in touch with him. They called him in out of retirement, and I explained to him what I was doing. He said, I've never seen that before. I don't know how you're going to do it, but send me pictures when you're done.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for the help. And then you get into with that on that specific copper roof. We had the architect I wanted to shoot him on this one. Like it was 2 hip roofs that meet in a dead valley, and then there's a transition in both of the hip roofs that also meet in that dead valley. So the whole roof was hand turned, but it was,
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably, that section was only a quarter of the roof, and it took us like 3 weeks just to do that one section, whereas the rest of the roof only took us a week and a half to do. Just like making sure, hand turning all the valleys into each other in the transitions, and oh shoot me, it looks great now, but I hated life during doing all that. It was a nightmare. So
yeah. If you do this for very long, we always have that project that it was miserable to get through, but once it's done, it's the one we're most proud of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Man.
So standing seam metal, maybe especially the copper you said was kind of your favorite. Which sector of your business is most profitable? Residential, commercial? Is there a product line that's more profitable than others?
I would definitely say standing seam is our most profitable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our shingle, like the our everyday residential stuff, we have to be because our market is so competitive. We're very, I don't want to say low margin, but we're not where I would want to be just to get the jobs. I can't charge, my normal markup, what I would like to get, or I would never get a job, so yeah.
If you work hard or train hard, you know the frustration of cleaning sweat out of your clothes. Most detergents just don't do it. They don't remove the sweat, especially from synthetic fabrics. Instead, they just mask the smell with strong fragrances. Do you ever wonder what those fragrances do to your skin and your body? You are left with flowery-smelling, stiff clothes that start to stink immediately if you sweat even a little bit. The sweat wasn't really removed. It was just covered up until it gets wet again. Into the frustration with Athlete Fresh, a detergent designed specifically to get sweat and grime from all fabrics, including your favorite synthetics. It gets deep, breaks down bacteria and sweat enzymes, and rinses clear. No residue, no stiff clothes, no fragrance, and no stink. Athlete Fresh will actually clean up the residue other detergents leave behind. Athlete Fresh is environmentally friendly, and 5% of every purchase goes to charities. Check them out at athletefresh.shop/FromTheGroundUpShow. Again, that was athletefresh.shop/FromTheGroundUpShow. That was always my answer when somebody wanted us to do residential shingles. Was I don't know, different areas are different with contractor licensing requirements and things like that, but 2 guys with a pickup and an air nailer is a shingling company.
Yep.
And in order to do the other projects that I do, I have an office staff and forklifts and dump trucks and highly paid skilled roofers to do the more skilled stuff. And 2 guys in a pickup and an air nailer, they're making great money at a price that I'm losing money. I just can't compete.
Exactly. So. And especially the states that have no licensure. I mean, anybody's a roofer. And even like here in South Carolina, you could today go get a contractor's license to do roofs in South Carolina. If you have 3 referrals from 3 of your buddies that said you did their roof, and whether they're lying or not, they're not going to check. You could go get a license today and start doing roofs next week. It is so easy here. So even though we have a licensure, there's really no checks and balances of that licensure,
I think a lot of places are still like that. It seems like they're either like that or they're a little over the top.
Yeah.
And, there's a significant barrier to entry that's probably unfair to the startup companies. Yeah. I don't find a lot of places that have a good balance that I feel works well.
Yeah.
It's either a free for all or extremely limited.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So judging by your story about that copper roof, I'm guessing you guys have some in-house labor that you self-perform projects with. Do you guys use subcontractors at all?
We do use subs. Yeah. So my metal sub has been with me since day one. We used them at the prior company too. So I knew they did really good work. And I've had the same crew for almost 4 years now. They're the only people that touch my jobs. And I, on some of this stuff, have helped train them and get them to where they need to be. But on a lot of stuff, that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So although they are subs, they're mine, and
Gotcha.
they do work for some other companies, but 90% of their work comes from me, and they're the only people that touch my jobs. And I know every single one of their names. I shoot them a deer every year, take it to them for Christmas. You know, like we hang out on the weekend sometimes. They're friends of mine, and they do phenomenal work. So.
Oh, that's a great setup. And so I guess maybe, did I get that wrong? Do you guys have any in-house labor that actually performs installs, or do you kind of exclusively use subcontractors?
All we use is sub. So all of my guys, I've trained all of them to do their own repairs.
Huh?
So each of my salesmen knows how to do repairs if it's a small shingle job or something like that. But even my repair guy is a sub as well. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's something that often gets debated, at least in the area that I'm at, is kind of the value and the value proposition for the customer of, a roofing company that utilizes sales subcontractors versus in-house crews.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, is there a reason you've chosen to use subcontractors and stick to it? What are the pros and cons in your mind there?
I would 100% second that notion for the companies that don't know who's showing up to their jobs. There's a lot of companies that run subs that it could be one of 10 crews. They don't know who they're getting that day, you know, and that's why I have hand chosen who is my sub knows I only want these 2 shingle crews ever. Once again, know all their names, known them for 4 years since we started, and the metal crew, that's only 1 crew anyways, or metal and specialty stuff. So I would 100% agree that with other companies that are using subs, if you're not vetting your labor and knowing who is coming to your jobs, and like we have a project manager on site all day too, that is 100% checking every part of the install. Because, you know, you get guys that filter in and out. They got a new guy on the crew that you've never seen before, you know?
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody that we use is people that we know and have used since day one. The cons are in-house labor is probably significantly cheaper. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But to me, like the only argument that somebody could have against a sub is if you don't know who they are and you don't know who's showing up to your jobs, and there's no checks and balances system to make sure that they're doing stuff the right way. So
I agree wholeheartedly. That's one of my questions we'll get to later is something that you've kind of changed your mind about. And that's one for me is for a long time, I was very firmly in that camp of, you know, we use in-house labor and that's the right way to do it. We're in control. We control quality. There's no question marks. And as we grew and expanded a little bit, we explored using some subcontractors, and almost the same thing you said. They were very highly vetted. A relationship was built. Yeah. We had a project manager on site watching every day, every step, everything they did. With the primary sub that we used, we played a significant role in their training. We provided a lot of the training that they did. And so it was almost like having, you know, all the pros of an in-house crew, but they're kind of on call. That worked well. Well, it sounds like you guys are off to a great start and are growing pretty quickly, but is there something that delayed your growth? And if so, what would you do differently if you could do it again?
Yes, 100%. Not having systems and processes in place to be able to handle the growth. We had a massive hailstorm in June of 2024, I believe it was. Yep, June 10th. So we're coming up on 2 years. And at the time, had 3 salesmen plus me. So it was great in the fact that we got a ton of business, but we didn't have the processes in place to be able to capitalize and get even more business. And the business that we did get, I mean, we were doing like 15 roofs a week after that storm. So it was just nuts. It was crazy. And we could have, had we had the right systems in place, been doing 25 or 30 a week. I can't imagine that, because the 15 was a nightmare. But at the time, that was, if I could go back, it would be setting up the systems on the front end to where if something like that does happen, and then obviously we're scaling to hopefully be to that point consistently. But obviously when you have a massive storm, business is going to go through the roof, no pun intended. So that's what I would do differently, 100%.
And so what would it look like? That's significant scale in a very short period of time. What would it look like to be prepared to scale at that level that quickly? What kind of things do you now have in place with your systems? Because that's going to take staff and a significant amount, salesmen and crews. And how do you position yourself such that you can scale up that significantly that quickly?
It would, like, your the CRM, like setting up your CRM and your checklist of, okay, what does a contract appointment look like? What does after we get a contract signed, what does it look like from the time that the contract signed to the time where it actually goes to production? Who needs to touch it? What are our checklists? Okay, it never even gets to the production calendar before X, Y, or Z is happened. Like now it's all automated. Like we build our CRM out to have like a checklist that the salesman has to follow before they send it to production. Then production has to follow before it actually gets scheduled. And then the customer's getting automated text and updates on where we're at in the process, so everybody is, and then it's all documented in the CRM too, of who touched it, who did what, where we're at in that process, the stage of the job. Really, that's, if you can't pull up any job right now in your CRM and know exactly where it's at in the process, that's a problem, and that's kind of where it was. It was just like, it was phenomenal for business. We killed it that year, but it was the most stressful 8 months of my life. I mean, it was insane. For like 2 weeks after the storm, we were working 18 or 20 hour days, signing 15, 20 roofs a day. It was just, you weren't even having adjuster appointments. Everything was smoked. There was, send me photos, here's a check, like it was wild.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, the setting it up to where you, especially with the technology now, there's no reason why you should not have automated processes in your production or contractual stage or whatever it is, So,
was there a process to finding a CRM that worked well with your workflow and how your business is set up? It seems like there's a million of them out there nowadays, and a lot of the contractors I talk to end up building their own to get one that really does what they want it to do and work the way that they work. What did that process look like for you?
We've had the same CRM from day one. It was not as much of finding the right one. It was using all the tools available in the one that we have. And because we did hit the ground running so quickly, I did not prioritize actually taking time to do the CRM trainings that they offer for free, knowing the processes of, oh, cool, I can automate all of this in my CRM. I just have to click this button, and this button. Okay, now how do I add this task for each salesman? Okay, all I have to do is click that button, but you don't know where to go if you don't, or how to set all that up if you don't prioritize doing that, and it was great. We're signing jobs, cool, we're busy, but there was no actual process for that, of what that actually looked like from a management side of things, so it was just learning the CRM that we had and actually utilizing what we pay for. So,
yeah, there's a lot of tools out there, but some of them take a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind what they're capable of nowadays. It's so different than when I started.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah,
but
it really is. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. I mean, all the different like
yeah.
tools and stuff that it's just insane. And they all can talk to each other through the back end, and they're taking notes while you're saying, like, it's just wild. It's wild.
Do you guys do any of the AI customer interactions? Do you have a system set up where customers can text with an AI?
Yep. So we just
Yeah, that's pretty
on a border with Alabo, and so like our business hours are 24 hours. So after 5, when my admin leaves the office, the phones get transferred to the AI agent.
Okay.
And then we have like the chat button on our website and through Google or whatever, and they can text, and the agents are trained for roofing to answer questions and ask specific qualifying questions, and then they both link to our CRM to where I can go back and listen to the whole phone call that the AI agent had with the customer. And then if the customer wants to, they will, because it's linked to our calendars too, they can book an appointment through the chat or through talking to the AI agent based on their problem and which salesman is assigned to handle these specific problems a little bit better than somebody else. Or if it's just a standard roof replacement, it can go to anybody, and we can tell the software all of that to where it's tailored specifically to it's wild.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing what people can do with technology nowadays. So, well, I talked about one of these for me earlier, but is there an opinion you once held strongly that you've changed based on your experience?
Man, that's a good question. Probably the first one that comes to mind is your small jobs, like your repair jobs and stuff, are just for going for future business, and that they're not really that profitable.
Okay.
If you're selling repairs properly, they should be your highest margin ticket. And not only are you, if you do a good job setting up future business, but if you're doing a lot of repairs, you can make a lot of money doing repairs because not a lot of people want to touch them. So that's probably one that I've changed my mind on. Yeah.
Yeah, I can track right with you there. That's an attitude shift that I had as well. So
yeah.
What mistake have you made that cost you the most money?
Missing a taper package on a commercial roof. Yep. You one of those mistakes you only do once, and it, like with when you're this well, I'm sure when you're stacking a taper package, if you miss one run, you just miss, like it's the specific one. It was 100-foot. It was 100-foot wide building. So we're stacking. I mean, what would that be? 25 rows of foam. You miss one row though. By the time you get to the 25th row, that's the same amount of taper as the first whole quarter of your roof. And that was a costly one there. Yeah.
Oh man, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you could go back, I'm going to split this up. If you could go back to when you graduated high school, or if you could go back to 2022 and had the option to do it all over again or pick a different track, what would you do?
The same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Earlier. Start right out of high school.
Yeah.
For sure. But I wouldn't be here in Charleston. I would still be home. If I'd have done it right out of school. It's just life throws stuff at you and you make the most of it. So
good. Are you happy with the move? Do you ever miss leaving?
No, best decision I ever made.
No.
I grew up in a super small town, and it was the the people that most of the people that grow up there and stay there are generational people that their mom was there, their granddad was there, and they've been there for 100 years, and it's, I don't want to say a black hole, but it's kind of a black hole of people that have been there their whole lives and are going to stay there their whole lives. And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with that if that's for you, but there's so much more in the world that you're missing. And that was that, but it was hard because all of my friends, my family, everything was that I'd ever known was there, but no, I would never go back and change it. I would, the best thing I ever did was getting out of there. Not in a bad way.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about mistakes. What has been your biggest win as a leader?
I would say getting employees to trust you as a mentor and not just their boss. And know that you actually care about them as a human being and not just a revenue side of the business, which obviously is important too. But having somebody tell you they appreciate that your door is always open and that you actually genuinely care about them as a human being too.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I know you said when you guys first started, you hit the ground running and did a 2.5 million in your first year. Do you mind letting us know kind of what your growth track has looked like? What has it looked like growing that business in your market?
So we did 2.5 our first year. We did 4.5 our second year. We did right at 6 last year. And hopefully our goal this year was 7.5 to 8. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's an impressive growth curve.
Yeah.
What kind of lead activities have you guys been taking on to consistently grow on that scale? I mean, you guys have been adding 2 million a year every year. What are you doing to produce that kind of growth?
Really the same thing we've done from day one. It's been a lot of organic partnerships, referrals, getting in front. We have our core group of property managers and real estate agents and all that stuff that we work with, but continuing to build that network of, custom home builders and people like that need your service and want quality, and just continuing to nurture the current relationships and build more relationships. As far as leads go, it's been, we hired a social media lady to run all of our funny but also informational stuff on social media, consistently posting on social media, because I just didn't have time to do it, and it wasn't getting done, or just your typical roofer, here's a before and after photo, or here's a Google review that everybody does that makes you not stand out at all, so yeah, investing money on those fronts too has been a big thing. So.
Okay. It seems like you guys have a lot of organic growth and kind of natural growth just serving your market, but you just threw out the word investing. What does your plan look like for marketing? Do you set aside a specific percentage of revenue for marketing? Do you just invest when you see good opportunities? What is your approach to allocating those marketing dollars?
So that's one thing that we're kind of overhauling right now is our marketing strategy. Because right now, no, we don't have a percentage. It's kind of like you said, we're in this neighborhood, all the roofs are old. Cool, let's hit them with the mailers, or we just got a ton of rain. Let's run a Facebook ad for a little bit, just randomly here and there. But in order to continue on the trajectory that we want to be on, we know that you can only get so much from organic. And if you're going to keep on the green trajectory, you got to start setting aside certain things of, like you said, a percentage of what has to be done to where it's year round, consistent marketing. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, almost through year 4 we're about to rebuild the website and get rid of the day one website that we just kind of threw together, and start getting an actual game plan together for marketing. So.
And you guys have grown pretty rapidly through some pretty significant benchmarks there. Are there any that kind of stand out in your mind that were significant turning points? Felt like you kind of leveled up and hit a new benchmark, or maybe a growing pain that you had to push through and overcome something to hit that next level?
Probably the commercial side of the business, because of how many national commercial roofing companies there are, especially once you get into like the new construction side of commercial. Building the relationships with builders and GCs to get our foot in the door with those, because it's so tough with the guys that source their own materials, have in-house labor, and there's no way I'm like you said about shingle roofs, I'm losing money at what they're selling it at, and somehow they're making money. That was probably like the last year. I feel like we really broke into the commercial side of the business and actually getting a lot more opportunities on that front. So.
What did that look like? I mean, how, if you're in a market that's kind of dominated by some of those national firms that are, just blowing stuff out cheap because they have huge in-house crews and source their own materials and run their own warranty department and all of those things, what is the value that you can offer a customer or a GC to convince them to go with the local guy or the smaller contractor?
It depends on the GC. Some of like the local builders and stuff want to use local, which is appreciated,
Yeah.
And then like a common pain point in roofing is you got to call 3 different people to actually get to the guy that you're trying to talk to, whereas with me, if you call and ask for, you have a problem, I'm showing up. Who's showing up. You have my personal cell phone number, and you're getting the same customer service every single time. There's no hoops to jump through of, oh, well, he's not the right guy for this. That was this guy's job, or, this is our guy for this. Like, no, you know exactly who you're getting. It's one of 4 people, and whoever the person is that sold that job is who you're getting. And if I have to step in occasionally, I will. But you know exactly who you're getting. You have their personal cell phone number, and it's a very personal relationship and not answering service. Press 1 for commercial repairs. Press 2 for, like it's.
Or starting with press 1 for English.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, I know you mentioned that you started this business as a partner. You're only a few years in. What has that relationship been like? Are you still happy to have a partner? Do you wish you would have done it on your own? Have there been any communication or relationship struggles that you guys have learned to work your way through being a partner in a business this size?
Yeah. So, I mean, at the time, it was a great opportunity for me it was a shot of, hey, we see your work ethic and we want to bring you in on this, which I'm super grateful for. And I have had nothing but great experiences with my partner. He's a great guy, always treated everybody fair, or I would have never even considered it. We really don't have any quarrels, or like we align pretty much on everything in the business. So I think it was 100% the right move for me at the time. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's been something we've discussed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, what has been your best resource to learn and grow and get better?
Like as far as like in roofing, or like different skill sets, or what?
I guess I would leave that open. I'm thinking mostly just personal development, whether that's leadership, professional, sales, personal development. Is there a resource that you lean heavily on to grow as an individual?
I've been trying to read more books recently. Read like audiobooks. I don't read. I'll turn them on in the truck. We have a pretty big market here, so consistently have 45 minutes plus of drive time between appointments and stuff. So Chris Zimmerman has been a great resource for me as far as he's kind of taken me under his wing and helped mentor me. And hey, you should really read this book. That'll help with this, and really there's been a lot of men in my life who have just taken the time to invest in me, even from childhood, aside from my dad, who have seen something in me that they feel that they want to take the time to step aside and invest in with time and advice and different stuff like that I know for a fact I wouldn't be where I was today without. I can think of 5 off the top of my head, men in my life that have really taken me under their wing. And that like the personal development side of thing, everybody in their life, I don't care what stage of life you're in, what stage of business you're in, you need a mentor and you need somebody who is going to pour their time and brain into you that is willing to invest in you. Every person in their life needs that, no matter where they're at. I'd say that's probably been my biggest personal development side of things, is between the men in my life and then the books that I've read in the last couple of years to help with leadership and problem solving and conflict resolution and, all this different stuff that I've never dealt with before. I'm swinging a hammer before this, like, we got a problem, I'm throwing a hammer at you, like.
Well, as somebody that, didn't come up with maybe a business pedigree, but was a practitioner that moved into the business side of things, is there something you wish you would have known before you started your business, something that you've learned about the business side of things that might help someone else trying to do what you've done?
Yeah. You got to know your numbers. And that seems so basic, like, duh, I got to know my profit margins and all this. Like, you should be able to pull up any single job that you have done in the last day, since day one of business, and know exactly what your margin was, what your materials cost, what your labor cost, what your salesman got paid, all of that stuff. You should be able to track that to the penny. And because if you're not tracking that, you're losing money somewhere. And if you don't know your numbers we had 3/4 of a roll of high temp underlayment that got thrown away in the dumpster, well, that's $100. Boom, gone. Knowing where you're losing margin and how to fix that, and then implementing a process to fix that will not only save you a lot of headache, but it'll save you a lot of money. And that's just straight profit that you're saving.
Yeah.
It's just money in your pocket that you're not getting. So that would be my tip.
That's good stuff. Yeah, that's something I've thought for a long time is I think every business, but especially the trades and in my experience, roofing, it's all about efficiency. What you said, every dollar you don't waste is straight profit.
Yeah.
That's money that you get to keep if you don't waste it.
Yeah.
And that's what this is really all about. Man, I think a lot of guys get caught up in growth, in volume, and putting up big numbers and, being able to brag about the volume that you've done. But there's a lot more money to be made in maximizing efficiency than there is in just strictly scaling.
Yeah.
Because if you're not making any...
Go ahead.
If you're not making any money, or if you're losing money and then you double or triple the scale, you're still not making any money, or you're just losing more money.
And you just tripled your headache. That's it.
Yeah. You're doing 3 times as much work for not much money.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can dial in that efficiency and get it where it needs to be so that you're actually making money, then when you start to scale, it magnifies in a big way.
100%.
So
100%.
Good stuff. Well, this is my favorite question I ask every single guest. I know you've kind of alluded to it a little bit with some of your background, but Are you a person of a particular faith tradition? And if so, how does that shape how you run your business and how you lead your people?
I am. So I'm a Christian. My dad was a Baptist pastor, so that's how I grew up. I mentioned that prior. And there's some things that the way I grew up, I don't necessarily agree with anymore. The main core principles of Christianity, I still do. It's the same to me. But by saying that, the meat and potatoes of it, of what my core values are as a human are the same, and all of that. And that has really transformed the way that in business, like you hear so commonly of like people getting screwed over, or screwing over their employees, or not paying commissions, or not doing the right thing with a homeowner, or whatever the thing is it's never wrong to do the right thing, no matter how you spin it. And especially when you start dealing with numbers and money and stuff like that, whether we're going through a job right now where one of my salesmen bid it wrong. He missed a detail, and the customer is, hey, this is what we signed, and we're sorry you messed up, but this is what we signed, and it's a tough one because it's a large financial mistake. And if I wanted to take it to court, the way that the contract was worded is a little bit ambiguous, and I could potentially win it in court if I wanted to. But no, the right thing to do is, this is what what you were getting them to sign. And I would have to lie, cheat, and steal to win that in court, and probably make up some stuff that isn't true to win that in court, and take the loss, take it as a lesson. There's how did that happen? How can we make it not happen again? And as the leader, it all falls back on me. What checks and balances didn't we have in place to where that happened? And so the morality side of the way that I run the business is huge, and it's in every single day of what we do. Like I said, it's never wrong to do the right thing, no matter how you spin it. And especially with the people side of things, like being a employer, when it comes to mentoring and investing in my employees, I don't shove religion down their throat or anything like that. But there's definitely a clear walk of, they know where I stand and what I expect, and what you believe is what you believe. And if you want to talk about it and have a man-to-man conversation about it, sure, let's go grab a drink and we can talk about it. But I'm not going to shove it down your throat. And where I stand and what I expect, and the way that transpires into the business. So I don't know. I feel like I said a lot there and maybe didn't answer the question.
No, there's some good wisdom there and some good stuff in there, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, well, I know you guys have kind of just been riding a rocket here, growing $2 million a year every year for 4 years. You're relatively young in this particular business. What's next? You said you guys are shooting for about 8 million this year. Is there an end goal? I know there's a lot of movement in our industry with growing and selling businesses. You're in business with a partner. Is there an end goal to buy out your partner? Is there an end goal to grow and sell? Do you guys have some big goals for the coming years?
Not that I know of. I don't foresee ever selling to private equity or anything like that. Eventually there may be an exit plan, but for now, no. So, yeah.
Okay. Just keep growing at the rate you have, and keep serving your community.
Keep grinding. Yep.
Good stuff. I love it. Is there somebody that you would like to see on the show? Somebody with a cool story, works in a cool industry, somebody that you'd like to learn more about?
Trying to think. I know some good roofers that you can have on. I think you would really enjoy talking with I have a buddy who is a mobile welder here in Charleston, and he has a pretty cool business. He does some really cool stuff. I think you may enjoy you may enjoy talking to him. As far as roofers go, I don't know if you've sat down with Sheldon Murphy yet, TSM in Arizona.
I've talked to him. I don't think we have anything scheduled
He's
yet,
a
but
phenomenal
we've been
human.
in touch.
He is a great guy. I would definitely try to get him on. He's a great human being.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I might see if you could make a couple introductions offline. And we've not had anybody in the welding space yet, and especially mobile welding. I know that's something that's kind of on the rise in our area, and that'd be interesting. I know very little about that business, so that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can definitely make a connection for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, our last question here, I ask most of my guests to either fuel or settle the debate. If you have a job to do that requires a cordless tool, which brand do you prefer? DeWalt. All right.
Yep.
I think we're holding strong.
Yeah.
I'm a DeWalt guy myself, and we've had a couple other answers, but DeWalt and Milwaukee are the front runners. Yep. And I think right now DeWalt's pulling ahead by 4 or 5. So
anything else is just your homeowner brand. I mean, for everyday use, there's nothing else that I would trust. And Milwaukee's great too. I've just always used DeWalt. So that's what I'll always use.
I think those two are fantastic. Just my personal opinion. I think sometimes Milwaukee pushes the envelope in new and different tools.
Yeah.
But in my experience anyway, the way that we use them, the DeWalt just holds up a little bit better, is maybe a little bit sturdier.
Yep.
Especially they all have their different grades, but the top end, the contractor grade DeWalt, those seem to hold up and last longer
I would agree
than
with you.
anything I've tried.
I would agree with you on that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed learning about you and your business and reaping the benefits of some of your wisdom. I'm sure our listeners will as well. I know we're going to put your podcast in the show notes. If there's anybody listening that's looking for a roof in South Carolina, or maybe looking to come on board and work with you guys at Hometown Roofing, what's going to be the best way to get in touch with you or get a hold of your services? So
you can check us out online, hometownroofingsc.com. Same thing, Hometown Roofing SC on Facebook, Hometown Roofing SC on Instagram, Hometown Roofing SC on YouTube, TikTok. Call our office at 843-331-5850. And that's really about it.
Awesome. Well, I will get all of those in the show notes. We'll make it really easy. They can just link right over there and get a hold of you. And I really do appreciate the time.
Yeah,
so
man.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you.
And thank you guys for joining us here on From the Ground Up Show. Again, if you get anything out of the content, help me out. Like, share, follow, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, social media, YouTube. Make sure you check out our merch store at shop.fromthegroundupshow.com. There's some really cool stuff there. Send this episode to a friend so they can check it out. And if you've got a moment, leave us a 5-star review, make a comment. That really helps move us up in the algorithm and get the show out there for more people to benefit. Until next time, keep grinding.